Hi everybody, it's Dylan Milks here for Thursday, February the 3rd, 2011. Thanks for tuning in. I just wanted to talk today a bit about inflation and particularly inflation when it comes to food prices. Um, Basically, if you've been watching any of the commodities prices in the last year or two, you'll notice that basically what's been happening in the last little while is we have things like wheat, corn, sugar, rice, cotton, basically all at all-time highs and all hitting all-time highs pretty much at the same time and continuing to go up. And of course, not just the food commodities, but as well, even some of the metals as well, like things like copper, for example, basically is also at hitting all-time highs as well. And of course, gold and silver are still continuing to do very well as well. So this is quite interesting because we have here not just the industrial commodities, but also the food commodities as well, all reaching all-time highs, but pretty much all at the same time, simultaneously, and really showing no signs of letting up. One thing I wanted to mention, which I think is pretty important, is that starting back in the middle of 2010, the United Nations was releasing some documents and some things on their website saying that they viewed price increases in food prices for 2011 as being a significant threat throughout the world, not just in developed nations, but also in pretty much the entire globe. And it's kind of interesting to note is that those things, those predictions are pretty much those warnings are pretty much coming to pass as far as what we've seen in the prices of these commodities. Now, the thing to note is that the increase in commodities, for example, in wheat prices or rice prices or sugar prices, oftentimes those typically they're not going to hit the supermarkets overnight. However, they usually do take a bit of time to trickle down into from the manufacturers of these products to the producers, the manufacturers, before we actually start seeing the increase in price at the supermarkets, where we buy our food. But one thing I've been doing, one thing what I do when I shop for food particularly, is I always pay attention to the price, and I'm always conscious of inflation and thinking to watch the prices of things and how they change from week to week. And I just want to give a couple examples of some things that I noticed, even just back in 2010. One thing, for example, I noticed was apples. Now, I usually shop at the superstore where typically the prices are usually a bit cheaper than some of the other some of their competitors. But one example would be apples, and I usually buy the Red Delicious apples. And what I noted from back in 2010 was that towards the beginning of the year, the price of apples was about $1.48 a pound, and during about the middle of the year, the prices went up 20 cents to $1.68 per pound, which is where it's at now to this day. And you may think, oh, well, that's only 20 cents, but if you think about it from a percentage perspective, that's about a 15% increase in price of apples, basically over the course of 2010. Another example I have for you is orange juice. I would buy a 2-liter jug of the PC orange juice, and that at the beginning of the year was going for $2.99, and again, same thing, about the middle of the year, the price has increased to $3.99 for the same jug. Now, of course, occasionally, once in a while, they do have it on sale, but the point being is that the regular price of these items basically is going up quite substantially. And the third example I'll give is related to granola bars. This is one, of course, these are examples that really stick out in my mind, but the granola bars I buy, where it's a box of 30, a family size box of 30, and beginning of the year that was going for $8.99 for the box, and now basically just right at the end of the year, the price of that box, the very same box, jumped to $10.49 for the very same box. So we go from $8.99 to $10.49 for the same item, for the same product. And those are just the three examples that really stick out in my head a lot from watching prices in 2010. And I believe a lot of that is basically has been a result of these increases that we're seeing in pretty much all the food commodities, and seeing that trickle down into the food the prices that we're paying at the supermarket. So I'd like to actually just offer just a kind of a challenge to everybody, or kind of a for something to do is from now on, if you could just, when you go to this, whenever you're going grocery shopping, if you could just kind of be conscious of the price of items, and kind of be conscious of the price that you're paying for items, sort of week over week, and just to kind of take a note of, if one week an item you're buying is $2.99 and the next week is $3.49, well, just kind of make a mental note of that, because again, the United Nations basically so far has been, their prediction for 2011 has been right on, and the fact that food prices really have been increasing a lot. And one of the things that we see going on in Egypt right now, one of the angers that the people of Egypt have is food prices, and the rise of food prices that they've seen over the last many years. And in fact, it's actually been noted that in 2010, they have had an increase of food prices of 20%. That's a 20% increase in food prices. And so that type of thing has been seen pretty much in a lot of the world, but yet it hasn't yet hit the Western world. Fortunately, hasn't yet hit. But I do believe that change, that increase will be coming our way, because if it's already happened in the rest of the world, and it's continuing to move forward and continuing to happen even greater, I certainly believe that we're not going to be immune to that, and that those global food prices, as we see them going up in the marketplace, basically in the commodities price, the commodities exchange, that those prices will be at some point, I believe in 2011, are really going to hit, and those record highs that we're seeing in corn and wheat and rice and sugar, in other commodities, are really going to start hitting the prices that we're paying at a supermarket. And I believe that's going to happen sometime this year. The other thing I wanted to mention about inflation was oil. Oil is now at about just under $91 a barrel, and it's been continually going up for the last couple of years, basically since it reached its peak there of $140 a barrel back in 2008, just before the housing market collapse in the States. And there's been a former CEO of Shell Oil has basically been interviewed by a few different business newsletters and business channels, and what he's been on record as saying is that he's predicting that within the next 2 years, that we're going to see oil prices at $150 a barrel. So just to put that in perspective, here's a guy who's been the CEO of one of the largest oil companies in the world, saying that he's basically warning people, saying that the fundamentals are just showing that he's thinking that we're going to be paying $150 a barrel of oil. But that's quite interesting. So to put that in perspective, back in 2008, when oil was at $140 a barrel, that basically translated into about $1.50 a liter gas for the basic gasolines out here in Canada. So, $150 a barrel is probably going to be somewhere in the range of $1.60, $1.65 per liter for their basic gasoline. So, just wanted to throw that out there, just kind of mention some things that I see going on out there, and kind of that I've been reading and researching within the last little while, and also some things again that I've noticed just from my own experiences at the grocery store about how certain items have increased in price quite substantially, anywhere from 15 to 20% in some cases. So again, I just like to encourage everybody just to kind of, whenever you go grocery shopping, just to kind of make a note of some of the prices that you're paying for items, and how if and when they change from week to week. So thanks a lot for watching, and I hope you tune in next time. So take care. Bye.